Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The Save America Act just cleared another major hurdle, passing the House of Representatives yesterday, and now heading to the Senate. And there's significant news about the odds of it actually passing there. There's a real chance, a very real chance, that this bill passes and ends up on the president's desk. Democrats and the media are out in full force trying to gaslight the public about the supposed dangers of voter ID. And you can tell a bill has momentum when mainstream media suddenly can't stop talking about it. Once again, Democrats are landing on the wrong side of an 80-20 issue. Today, we're going to set the record straight on the Save America Act. We'll break down the arguments Democrats are making because they have two main reasons they claim they'll vote no this week. I believe both are non-issues, and we'll show you why. And Republicans don't seem to be responding to these points the right way. Let's start here.
From black voters.
Oh, if we look at
the SAVE Act?
The SAVE Act, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is actually going to continue to disenfranchise overwhelmingly a lot of people of color. There are so many civil rights organizations that have run the data. If we look at the way that it is going to disenfranchise black voters, it's the same reason why Chuck Schumer called it Jim Crow 2.0.
So,
this is the same president. If we want to continue...
You haven't said how yet.
I am talking about it. It's the way that you're putting new poll taxes on this when you're making people have... That's what we can call them now. It's kind of an idiom, right? If you want to say that people have to prove that they are citizens, that they have to prove with a voter ID, the reality is you're layering what is a constitutional right for the American people and making it harder for people to vote in this country, and it's going to disenfranchise black voters.
Concern you that you're making all these claims, you've yet to lay out how it's hurting anyone, but 76% of black voters think we should show an ID to vote, 80% of Hispanic voters, 83% of the American people. Are you saying that black voters are too dumb to know what's good for them? I mean, it sounds pretty condescending to me. You get three-quarters of black voters who want vote.
Over the last 48 hours, corporate media has been leading with coverage of the Save America Act, which they almost never do. You only see that when a major piece of legislation has a real shot at becoming law. They know Republicans might actually be able to push this over the finish line. Yesterday, Wednesday, the House passed the Save America Act again by a 218-213 margin. This updated version requires proof of citizenship to register to vote and photo ID to vote in federal elections. In a notable surprise, Democrat Henry Cuellar of Texas broke with his party and joined Republicans, voting yes. That sends the bill to the Senate, where it would need only a simple majority to pass. But before the Senate can vote, it has to get through the debate stage. The Senate holds a debate period for every bill, and to move out of that stage, 60 senators must agree it's ready for a vote. Senate Majority Leader Thune has been weighing a rules change to a talking filibuster, the traditional approach, which would force the bill to the floor. He wouldn't be ending the filibuster. He'd be shifting to a talking filibuster where Democrats could still block it, but only by physically staying on the floor and continuing debate. The moment they stop, the bill advances for a full vote. This is where things get interesting because Thune has been reluctant to do it and has suggested he'd only move forward if he's absolutely certain he has the votes to pass the bill. Until yesterday, Republicans had just 46 locked-in yes votes. They need 50. But that changed this morning. Senator Tim Scott added his name as a co-sponsor, bringing the total to 47. Then 2 hours ago, Senator Wicker joined too, raising it to 48. And just moments ago, John Thune himself, another holdout, asked to add his name as a co-sponsor as well, bringing the total to 49 guaranteed yes votes. So who's missing? Mitch McConnell, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Tom Tillis. Here's the latest on Susan Collins. Watch this.
Just pass the House. Can we count on you to support it in the Senate?
I'm looking at it. The House made some significant changes. For example, you would not have to prove citizenship every time you vote. That's a good change. Makes sense to have a requirement the first time when you register, but not every time. I've long supported voter ID. There's some issues on what are federal and what are state. So I'm still this is a work in progress, but I've got to go to the Health Committee.
And that's just the Republicans. The big cliffhanger is whether maverick Democrat John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, could break with his party and vote yes. That's possible. This week, Fetterman voiced support for national voter ID and was asked whether he'd vote no on the SAVE Act. The media, and even his colleagues, have tried to pin him down and get him on record with a clear no. He wouldn't do it. He's refusing to say no. We're hearing he's a yes, and that if the bill reaches the floor, he'll vote in favor. He hasn't become a co-sponsor, which would lock in his vote, but he's playing it the way John McCain used to, positioning himself in the middle so his vote carries maximum leverage. If Fetterman is also a yes, that gets them to 50, even without Susan Collins or the other three Renos. Then the vice president would cast the tie-breaking yes vote. Folks, this could be it. Republicans may actually be able to pull this off. Now let's get to the Democrats' case for voting no. Because as of now, the only Democratic senator who might vote yes is John Fetterman. So why is that when 83% of the country wants this to pass? I think we all know the real reason, but the argument they're making is this. Watch.
You should be thinking about your constituents or your
Yeah, I think they're smart enough to figure out how to register to vote, Abby.
Hold on. Most Americans don't have a passport. Many Americans don't have access to their birth certificate. Many women, a majority of women who change their names for marriage have to provide additional proof that they've changed their legal names in order to register to vote.
I have heard Democrats make these same arguments.
Why don't you actually respond to the substance of what I'm saying?
I am, and the substance is this.
As opposed to making this about something that it's not.
You're saying,
it's not just about voter ID. It's also about
black
who has
voters
access
and rural people
to...
are too stupid to figure out how to register to vote.
No, that's not.
That is not what
Democrats have been making this argument all week. It's crazy.
That is not what she said.
Are you saying they can't figure out how to vote?
Let me offer the proof.
Are you saying they can't figure out how to vote?
Democrats are claiming that if the SAVE Act passes, you'll need your birth certificate and/or your passport to vote. Is that true? They're leaving out a key part of the legislation. Yes, you can use a birth certificate. Yes, you can use a passport, but you can also use a real ID, and they keep skipping that option in their talking points. So, what is a real ID? A real ID is a driver's license or state-issued ID card that meets the enhanced federal security standards set by the Real ID Act of 2005. In other words, it's still a driver's license, just an upgraded one that many of you already have. I have one. If you look at the top corner of your license and it's enhanced, it will say enhanced. In recent years, when your license expires and you go to the DMV to renew, many states typically issue you an enhanced license or real ID. And as of February 1st, so 12 days ago, it is illegal to fly domestically without a real ID. So to fly within the United States, you're already required to have the same kind of ID that the Save America Act would require to vote. Think about that. Real ID enforcement is fully in effect, with no more extensions. All 50 states, Washington, D.C., and U.S. territories now issue compliant real IDs. So the Democrats' argument for opposing the Save America Act simply doesn't add up. You can't board a commercial flight in this country without a real ID, the exact same ID you'd need to vote if this becomes law. You don't need some special birth certificate. You don't need additional proof beyond that. You just need the same real ID that Americans already get when they go to the DMV to obtain a driver's license. Someone needs to tell Scott Jennings on CNN to lay this out the next time he's on one of these panels. Bottom line, we're saying you should need the same ID to vote that you need to fly on a commercial airplane. How is that unreasonable? Meanwhile, the U.S. Senate has just voted down a bill to keep DHS funded. This happened right before we went on air. The vote was 52 to 47, which means the government will be partially shutting down by the end of the week. Once again, John Fetterman was the lone Democrat voting yes.
The senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative, the motion is not agreed to.
Mr. President.
Recognize the majority leader.
I enter a motion to reconsider.
The motion is...
Democrats are also saying they voted no because they refuse to fund ICE, insisting they won't appropriate another single dollar to it. Ironically, that won't impact current ICE operations. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is funded through at least 2029, but it will affect other DHS divisions like TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, the U.S. Secret Service, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, along with 18 other departments housed under DHS.
I am glad to announce that the Congressional Progressive Caucus has adopted an official position to hold ICE accountable. Our caucus members will oppose all funding for immigration enforcement in any appropriation bills until meaningful reforms are enacted to end militarized policing practices.
Not a smart strategy, if you ask me. We'll keep you updated on what happens next. Tomorrow is the official deadline, when the funding for DHS formally runs out. All right, that's it for this episode. Like, subscribe, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.